Well, hello, how are you doing? Welcome to episode number 4 of the podcast Mike Check with Mike Shaw. I am Mike Shaw, and it is Friday, Casual Attitude Friday, September 14th. The weekend is upon us. I hope you have wonderful plans. I haven't thrown this out there. I've been meaning to, but just something to think about. Kevin Sumlin, Arizona Wildcats, 0-2. Then you look over at ASU, and their coach that everyone made fun of, 2-0, including a quality win against Michigan State. So, I don't know what everyone... When Herm Edwards went to ASU, I was like pretty pumped for them. I was like, here's this, famous guy, motivating guy. And the experts, I'm going to put air quotes, the experts were saying, yeah, Herm's not going to want to recruit. Herm's, going to have a tough time here and a tough time there. And it's mostly a symbolic, appointment as head coach. Herm is killing it over at ASU. And did you see those uniforms last week against Michigan State? I mean, don't get me wrong. I am not an ASU fan. But those uniforms were amazing. They were cool. They were black with these gold accents. So like the numbers... depending on how the lighting went, reflected the light in a different way, yellow, gold, whatever color that was. And then the same with the, with the devil's fork in the helmet kind of thing, really reflective material that changed color with the lighting. Those uniforms were super cool. And of course I was going Pac-12 over Big Ten. So it was kind of cool to watch them beat Michigan State. Of course, it was a home game. That was a very close game. Maybe if they played that in Michigan, they'd have lost that game. But anyway, just throwing it out there. Herm Edwards, 2-0. Kevin Sumlin, 0-2. And we love Khalil Tate. But maybe next year is the Heisman year. I don't know. I mean, it's still early, of course. But we need to get this season back on track. So it is a Casual Attitude Friday. Just thought I'd tie up some loose ends, some things that I wanted to talk about, mostly technology stuff, especially after the Apple event. Now, I know most of you, maybe none of you, I don't know, are into the technology and especially the cell phones, the smartphones like I am. I spend way too much time researching this stuff and watching YouTube videos on all of the latest tech that's out and coming out. And I actually spent a couple hours of my day on the 12th watching the Apple event in its entirety. So I have some takeaways from that event. And the coolest thing was the Apple Series 4 watch. Oh my goodness, that thing is amazing. You can do ACGs. You can do an electrocardiogram on your wrist. Now, I don't know how accurate it is. I think it's accurate enough to where you can share that with your doctor and get some ideas if something's wrong or something suspicious. There's fall detection. So if you fall, it knows you have fallen. And if you don't respond to the watch within a minute, it automatically calls emergency services. That's pretty cool, especially as a 55-year-old man who's not getting any younger and who has a bum foot as a result of, complications from surgery. Not that I'm falling down yet a lot, but something to think about. And I've heard, there are other people that are disabled. They're not necessarily old, but they're disabled and they have risk for falls. To them, this is a huge feature to the watch. And then just, the bezel, it's the bezel-less design. So even the smaller watch, the 35 millimeter watch, has the same size screen as the Series 3, 42 millimeter watch. So real big upgrades in the watch. It's expensive. I think if you want the LTE included with it, it costs $500. But the Series 3 watches went down in price. I don't need to make phone calls on my watch, and I think you can do it even without having the LTE, the connection with the carriers. I think you can still make a call through your phone with the Bluetooth, but I'm not positive about that. But $279 for last year's Apple Watch. Something to think about. But here's the thing. Do I want to stay with Apple after what they did with those iPhones? Don't get me wrong. Those iPhones, the 10s, the 10s Max. The 10s Max, really? I don't know why they stuck with that name. It's a terrible name. But anyway, the 10s, the 10s Max, and then the 10R, which is the lower price version, but it has it has all the cool specs. So I'll get into the 10R in just a little bit because I think that's the most interesting phone. The 10s starts at $999, so $1,000, just like the iPhone 10 was. For that, you get the new i12 Bionic chip, which is amazing. It's the first 7 nanometer chip in a smartphone. What does that mean? Well, that means you can cram a lot more transistors into the chip. And it's almost 100, it does almost 100 times the calculations per second than the A11 chip, which the A11 chip is no slouch. So this A12 Bionic chip is amazing. Now, they're saying 30% boost in performance. Your apps are going to load quicker, all that stuff. Now, if you have an iPhone 10, like I do, then you know it's already fast enough. So I don't know who needs that kind of a boost in performance, but probably the biggest boost will be, and this is for all three new iPhones, the biggest boost will be in the camera. So what they've included was a bigger sensor, slightly bigger, but bigger sensor, which means the pixels are bigger, so it's better for low light, for example. And because of the faster chip and the GPU that they've included in the phone, they're going to be able to do a lot of the software tweaks that you see in the Pixel phone. And the Pixel arguably has the best camera in smartphones today, although the Note 9 is no slouch, and the Huawei P20 Pro is amazing, not available in the United States. So this could be a big upgrade for the camera. And for me, camera is the most important thing in a smartphone, really. And I do like the Apple ecosystem. I just do. But I bounce back and forth between Android and Apple. So I'm not an Apple fanboy by any means. It's just something that I like. And I love my iPhone 10, and I love the Memojis. I did a video on that on my other YouTube channel. It's kind of funny, kind of cute. So here's my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint. For $1,000, you can get the new iPhone 10s, or some people are calling it the XS, right? And it starts at 64 gigabytes of storage. Are you kidding me, Apple? For $1,000, you're still, in 2018, only giving me 64 gigabytes of storage to start. The Note 9 at $1,000 starts at 128 gigabytes of storage, and it has expandable storage in the micro SD. You can add storage. All you have to do is buy a micro SD card, so it's not free, but you can expand your storage if 128 is not enough. So the Note 9, $1,000, 128 gigabytes of storage, arguably a better camera than even the new upgraded camera will have in the XS and the XS Giant Max. We'll have to wait and see when people get their hands on the XS and the XS Max and the XR, because they all have the same camera systems. We'll have to see how improved that those cameras are if they've caught up to the Note 9. The Note 9 has the variable aperture on one of their lenses, so they can take in a lot more light. Those nighttime photographs on the Note 9 are amazing. And then they have a bigger sensor on the Note 9. Now, maybe Apple has caught up to that. And they have some AR going on, too. So right now, probably the Note 9 takes the best pictures of any smartphone on the market today. Now, the Pixel 3 is coming out in October, and there'll probably be some upgrades to to what they're doing, and Pixels take amazing photographs. And Apple's no slouch when it comes to photographs, so they're all right there. Did Apple do enough to catch up to the Note 9? They probably gained some ground. Maybe they closed that gap all the way. We'll have to wait and see. But again, in 2018, Apple has decided that you only get 64 gigabytes of storage for $1,000. Now, if you're going to go for the XS Max, which has a 6.5-inch screen. The Note 9 has a 6.4-inch screen, both of them Super OLED screens. The Note 9 is probably a little better because Samsung makes the screens, and Samsung's probably going to make a little better screen for their product than Apple's. But anyway, they're probably both pretty comparable. So for the Note 9, 6.4-inch screen, 128 gigabytes of storage, a really great camera, $1,000. The Apple 10 Max, 10s Max, is $1,100, and you only get 64 gigabytes of storage. If you want to go up to 200, they don't even have 1 in 28 option. You have to go to 256 or 512. If you go 512, you're talking $2,449 for the iPhone XS Max. Wow. Really disappointing, Apple. Really disappointing. Especially when Huawei has now surpassed Apple in phone sales. That's right. Huawei, the Chinese company Huawei, has exceeded Apple. I think this is worldwide sales. They've exceeded Apple in sales, and they're coming after Samsung. And they have a really great phone to do it. I'm going to open a tab over here if you're watching me on YouTube. That's why I'm looking off to the side. The Huawei Mate 20 Pro is coming out next month. And this also has a 7-nanometer chip. So it's going to have the awesome Kirin 980 processor that's going to be able to do all the things that the new iPhones do. The Huawei already makes the P20 Pro, which has the best camera for photography in a smartphone, hands down. Now, they did not add stabilization to 4K video on the Huawei P20 Pro. And so people have been really disappointed in that. Stabilization is included in 1080p video, and it's gorgeous. And so I'm just going to assume that the Huawei Mate 20 Pro will include stabilization on all their videos, on 4K 60, 4K 30, HD 60, 1080p 60, 1080p 30, 1080p 25, 4K 25. If they have stabilization on all that stuff with a nice big sensor like the P20 Pro has, with the Kirin 980 7-nanometer chip, this Huawei Mate 20 Pro, if they can keep it under $1,000, is going to be the best smartphone on the market, period, coming out in October. Although we'll see what the Pixel 3 looks like coming up in October. Now, if it has that big notch that we've been seeing, that we've been rumored to see on the Pixel 3, yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are going to have problems with that. But there are rumors that that's been kind of a fake out, and that maybe the Pixel 3 won't have a notch. Now, the Pixel 3 probably won't have a notch, but the Pixel 3 Plus, or whatever they call it, may or may not have the notch. We'll have to wait and see when it comes out in October. So some really interesting things happening. And I'm not worried about Apple. I mean, I guess they know what they're doing, but I think they're opening themselves up to possible trouble. When you get kind of stingy with people, because we know you're making bank on these iPhones, why not start at 128 gigabytes of storage? Is that gonna really slam your margin so much that it's a problem? No, of course not. Give us 128 gigabytes of storage to start out, Apple. Oh my goodness. So now I'm hearing this little dongle here that I'm holding up on YouTube that you can't see in the podcast. But this is a lightning to headphone connector, right? The 3.38 inch connector for headphones. This is included with the iPhone 10. Not included with the iPhone XS or the iPhone XS Max or the iPhone XR. You have to spend $9 extra if you want one of those. The new iPhones are capable of fast charging. When you get the Note 9, when I had the Note 7, they included the fast charger in the box. Apple doesn't include the fast charger in the box. You have to buy the fast charger, which is, I don't know, $50, something like that. Come on, Apple. Why are you nickel and diming us to death? Now, this is what Apple does, but it's aggravating. And I'm wondering if they're getting to the point where it's aggravating enough that some people are going to say, you know what? I'm done with you. There are too many great Android phones out there. And maybe people will try the Note 9. I hear that the Galaxy S10, which is coming out in November, is amazing. May have 3 cameras like the Huawei P20 Pro. So that's something else to watch out for, Apple. And so Apple, if you're not going to include the dongle, if you're not going to include the storage, if you're going to make people pay so much extra for more storage that if you're shooting 4K video, 64 gigabytes of storage is nothing. It's really aggravating. A lot of people are upset. Now, does that mean I don't want a new Apple? No, okay. I couldn't use a new iPhone. This is my problem. I'm kind of addicted to tech. So like when the new phone comes out, I really want it. So when the iPhone 10 came out, I kind of really wanted it. I had a Pixel. Pixel was great. But I finally got the iPhone 10 a few months ago. Love the iPhone 10. Takes great video back in the Apple ecosystem. I have an iPad Pro. Works really well with that. And I love my iPad Pro. I have no complaints with the iPad Pros, Apple. So now then the Note 9 comes out, and I'm like, wait a minute. Here it is, same $1,000 for the iPhone 10 and the Note 9. And the Note 9 has the stylus, which does so much. And you can draw on your screen, and you can draw on your photographs. And it has memojis like iPhone 10, not as great, but they're there. And you can do lots of other cool things. You have more storage on the Note 9. You have better cameras on the Note 9. I'm like, this Note 9 is a better phone. Bigger screen, no notch, headphone jack, IP68 water resistance, which now the new iPhones finally catch up to that. The Note 9 is just a better phone. So I guess Apple doesn't care, because when you watch the Apple keynotes, they're always like, this is the first time an Apple phone can do this, or the first time this is the best screen an iPhone has ever had. This, you can adjust the aperture after you take a picture. Well, Samsung's been doing that for years. But they make a big deal out of it because it's the first time an iPhone can do it without a third-party app, because you can get a third-party app that does it today. So I don't know. Apple, people that are in the Apple ecosystem, like if I had an Apple Watch, you're kind of stuck, right? Because you can't use an Apple Watch with a Samsung. I have a Fitbit Versa, which in theory works with both. Although I will admit it worked better with my Pixel than it does with my iPhone. There's a little less functionality with my iPhone 10, with my Fitbit Versa, because that's how Apple is. So if I was going to get a new iPhone, and I kind of do want this new iPhone, so I may do this. The iPhone XR, $749 for the 64 gigabyte storage. You can get 128 gigabyte storage for $50 more. So basically $799, $800. You can get a cool color. I'm not sure which color I would get. Maybe the red. Maybe the blue. Maybe the red. I don't know. Maybe the black. Comes in black? I think so. But you get the camera upgrade. Still in the Apple ecosystem. You get the A20 Bionic chip, which helps with the camera upgrades. You can record and play back in stereo. The drawback with the 10R is that it's not quite an 1080p LED screen. Now they say it's their best LED screen they've put in an iPhone. They're calling it the Liquid Pixel LED. Whatever. I don't know what that means. But apparently the iPhone 8s, which people love and loved, has an LCD screen. And this is a little better LCD screen, better color reproduction, better backlighting, et cetera, et cetera. So a decent screen. I think I'd probably be fine with it. With the new larger sensor, the new camera, just one, not two, doesn't have the telephoto lens, but still, I bet it would take really nice pictures, kind of like the single camera of the Pixel. So after all that complaining, maybe T-Mobile will let me turn in my iPhone 10 in October when the 10R comes out, and I can get a 10R. That might be a decent upgrade. Or I'll wait and see what happens with the Huawei Mate 20 Pro coming up in October. Or maybe I'll save and try to get into a Note 9 because I really did love my Note 7, but they made me give it back because it was exploding and stuff. Anyway, that's my mini rant kind of update with what's happening with iPhone and cell phones generally. Now, I think most people that I know, they have older phones. You know, they have the iPhone 6S maybe. You know, their phones are a couple years old because they're smart. They don't spend all this money like I do on technology. I'm addicted or something. I don't know what my problem is. It's expensive to love these gadgets like this. So my answer is maybe I can become one of those YouTube tech reporters and get popular enough to where they send me phones and I get to review them and play with them. But then that's its own problem because then you have a different phone every 2 months and you can't really just enjoy your life with the phone that you really love. I'm torn. Anyway, I hope you're having a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll take the weekend off. This is episode number 4. And episode number 5 on Monday, it looks like we're going to have Americans for Prosperity on the show. We'll talk about all of the propositions that are going to be on the Arizona ballot. That should be a really good time. So have a great weekend. And as always, may God's love ever be with you.